Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. Happy Thursday to everybody. Big CPI day today, guys. So we're going to go over the CPI data. Bit of a mixed reaction here, as it did come in hotter than expected, but all is not as bad as it seems, guys. And the markets were doing fairly well in the morning after the CPI result, but then sold off midday off a pretty bad 30-year government treasury bond auction. So all that and more, guys, we're going to cover the CPI report in detail. We're going to cover our major indexes and our major tech names and see where do we stand, guys. Is this the top of our little bounce move here, and are we due for some pullback? So we're going to take a look at that, guys. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Tackling inflation first here, guys, right? So let's get into it right away here. CPI did come in hotter than expected, guys. Shows headline inflation for September was hotter than the forecast on rising shelter costs. Shelter costs and gasoline, your main contributors as to why it came up here. So you'll see it right here in the article. Shelter costs rose 0.6% in September and were the largest contributor to the increase in consumer prices, accounting for over half of the increase. So at least it's not broad-based, guys. There's just a few little sticky points. And as we know as well, the cost of gasoline, which rose 3%, was another major contributor. Oil has been rising steadily, now coming down in the past 2-3 weeks, but over the months of August and September was relatively high. So this was to be predicted, guys. We've been talking about this all on the channel, so now we do see it in the report here, guys. All in all, a decent report. A lot of things did come down here. Food up slightly, 0.2%, guys, which is not that much, right? It's really the rental increases here and gasoline that were your major contributors. So not as bad as it seems. And that's why initially, guys, the market had a very decent reaction on the morning. We did not drop too much. We were holding fairly steady here, even though it was a rising number here, guys. Usually in the past, you would have experienced any single rise would have been a considerable waterfall drop all day here. But the drop actually came in from an auction from the government side on the US, right? Of a 30-year treasury, which did push yields very, very much higher during the day. Look at this massive rise in yields. Yield uptick here as traders started to price in the fact that Jerome Powell does have one further increase, but the CPI report did show that they won't need to increase rates substantially because inflation, although did come in a bit higher, it is still on the downtrend pretty much across the board. Only a few little sticky areas. So the gist of everything in CPI, guys, is CPI is coming down, but it may take a little bit longer than expected to get down to the Fed's 2% target. That's exactly why they were hawkish at the last interest rate meeting, where they gave projections for keeping them higher for next year, really until we see broad market inflation come down in a significant fashion, need to see bigger drops than we've been getting here. So quick glance, guys, here where inflation is and isn't remaining, right? You will see that rent is still fairly high up here, right? On the 1-year change, 7.4% to the upside. So rent, bit of a sticky situation here. Hotel rooms as well, personal care, restaurant meals still up there as well, and housing, right? So you see a common thing here, right? So pretty much everything away from home and the home itself is your major contributor here. Overall inflation now to 3.7%. The expectation was 3.6. So we came in a little bit hotter than expected, guys, but not too much, right? Gasoline, 3% year over year, which is not too bad. And we do have a lot of things now trending down to our 2% year over year targets, right? Big things like transportation, groceries, new vehicles, clothing, a lot of things that people use every day, prescription drugs, tuition. And then you have a lot of things that are also on a deflationary curve that really had a big spike last year, right? Electronics, appliances, supply chain issues and whatnot, right? Household energy is even down, toys, furniture, used vehicles, rental cars, airfare, all the things that had a temporary spike due to supply chain constraints last year are now back to normal and even in a deflationary cycle here. So very, very good overall report here, guys. Not too bad, even though it did come in higher here. So don't really believe what the headlines say that it's really a disaster. It's really not, in my opinion. Just may take a little bit longer than expected to come down. Nothing really that moved markets in a substantial amount here. So let's take a look at SPY here. If you remember yesterday's title to the video, we were saying, can CPI ruin this little rally and send us into our higher low setup here? Which is exactly what we got, but we didn't get it from our inflation. We got it from an auction on government bonds, which pushed yields up. As you guys can see, the 10-year yield had a very, very big day here, up 3% here, coming slowly back up to our high. So we'll see, can we set the lower high and set up this daily downtrend to the lows here and send yields further down? Or are we just going to continue this weekly push up higher on yields? That is going to be what everybody is watching in the near futures, as long as bonds keep selling off and yields are not under control, guys, the markets can remain volatile here. So without further ado, let's get into the indexes here. So SPY down 0.61%, QQQ down 0.35%. QQQ was almost up 0.5, 0.6% on the day. SPY was always struggling around break even up to 0.2% in the morning here. If you take a look on the heat map, you'll see that the market was pretty much undecided today. A few major tech names like Apple and Amazon held it up, NVIDIA as well, a few semiconductors, but for the most part, the rest of the market was red. And keep in mind, guys, we do have a big earnings release tomorrow, guys. One of your major healthcare names, UNH, reports tomorrow, and a lot of your banks as well, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, a lot of them reporting earnings tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning is the start of earnings, and we'll be covering that on the channel. Looking forward to that. So if you can see on the one-day relative performance, everything dropping off the board pretty much down into almost 2% territory for basic materials and utility, but everything really red across the board, save for energy, which was slightly positive, 0.06% here. On the 1 week, we are still positive here as the market has made some pretty nice gains. So where do we stand, guys? Where do we stand? Well, it's very simple. We were always looking when this move tops out, let's look for the higher low scenario. If you crack today's low tomorrow, it will be start of daily consolidation. The bulls on the SPY still have a lot of space. Anything above 420.5, it's just going to be looking for your daily higher low for potential daily uptrend resumption here. The bulls have created a decent amount of space, in my opinion, for that to be one of our potential likely scenarios here. I don't believe that the likely scenarios is just a straight bear rollover, guys. It's going to take some pretty bad data or really, really aggressive rising yields to really send us down here quickly. Obviously, anything can happen, but I am expecting the bulls to put up somewhat of a good amount of defense here and try at least for the daily uptrend. We'll see if we can get it on the weekly. Weekly bounce up almost 50% from our most recent downturn here. So up almost 50% on that. We'll see, can the bulls hold it together here and give us the daily higher low similar to what QQQ did and really start pushing this daily uptrend higher here. Earnings this week and next week will play a big part of that. Keep in mind, next week, Tesla, Netflix, Intel, a couple big names, Taiwan Semiconductors as well. Let's go move into QQQ now. QQQ still in a daily uptrend, guys. So any pullback on QQQ, if you flush today's low tomorrow, your daily consolidation will be underway. Target these moving averages here for a bit of support here. 365 area would be the target. And we're just going to be looking for your daily higher low for potential daily uptrend resumption. QQQ will obviously be moved next week by Tesla and Netflix. So we will see how they will perform on that. But bulls looking better on QQQ than on SPY. Let's pull the fib up on the weekly, guys. You'll see that the bulls have recaptured almost 80% of the downswing, which is why I've been saying going to be tough for the bears to just flush this. All right. Especially we got CPI data out of the way and everything, guys. Jerome Powell isn't speaking for another 3 weeks again on an interest rate decision. So we don't have that many bad things other than a big earnings cycle happening here. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. But bulls have created a lot of space. Look out for your daily higher low. XLF financials down 0.63% today. Big earnings day for financials tomorrow. So we'll see how they can hold it up. They've created a lot of space here. Anything above 32.20. Going to be looking for the daily higher low. Now you have 2 days of lower lows in a row. So your daily correction here is definitely underway. They did put in a very sizable bounce. So I'm expecting a little bit of defense by the bulls here, guys, right? And to potentially start for the daily uptrend. If earnings are good tomorrow, then you may just get it. If earnings are bad, we may have to start consolidating lower and lower and lower here. And keep in mind, if we do for some reason just continue this weekly move down, guys, I will be looking to write options in the $31 to $30 range on financials. I do believe that it's starting to get a pretty juicy deal here. So keep an eye on that for financials. Don't want to say too much because tomorrow is a big earnings day. Now let's move on to healthcare. Healthcare with a very bad day here today, 0.86% to the downside. Same thing, right? 2 lower lows in a row. So your daily correction here is underway. We were always expecting this, guys. As soon as this move tops out, need the bulls to set the higher low and then go for the daily uptrend. So far, the only one to have done this is QQQ, right? Everything else is just in phase 1. So can't say that the bulls have done everything yet. They need to play some defense now and prove to us that they want this daily uptrend to get our weekly bounce underway. If not, the bears are just going to continue rolling this over down into our lows here, 127, 126. Key area of support. I will remind you, it is the biggest monthly support on the chart here. So very important area. Good defense area down there if we do roll into it here. Healthcare coming out with a big report tomorrow. UNH is the only person reporting, and they have a lot to lose potentially, right? Because they are trading near all-time highs. Very good monthly reversal pattern right here that they've been putting in motion for the better part of the last 12 months. It is a weekly uptrend, so any single downturn on UNH will just be for a weekly lower high. So keep that in mind, guys. Even if UNH doesn't do well, still a bunch of names to report, but that'll be our first name in healthcare. Now, IWM Russell giving almost all the move back, guys, in one single day of trading, down 2.26%. I was saying that the Russell had the weakest bounce out of everything. And as you can see, the bears just took full advantage of the negativity today, send us towards the lows here. Now, the lows aren't lost, anything above 169, still looking for a higher low. But at this point, guys, with the bears taking back so much of this move here, may just end up at best for the bulls in a potential tightening range before a potential breakout here, if for which reason we do continue this daily downtrend, because that was the expectation, right? Low, lower high, and now will they set the lower low, or we'll be able to pull a tightening range here and potentially break out to the bull side? That remains to be seen. But if we do continue this weekly nasty downtrend into these areas, guys, I'll remind you, 170 down to 165 is my sweet spot here. It's been monthly support for a very, very long time at this point. So I do expect there to be some good defense in that area. We'll be looking to play some options down here. Now let's move down to the Dow Jones here. Dow Jones pulling back as well, but not as hard as the rest of the indexes here. Down 0.51%, doesn't look too bad. Dow Jones with a very decent bounce here, engulfing this entire leg down. So now they have to once again set the daily higher low, just as every single other index except for QQQ. QQQ did it. None of the other indexes did it yet. That is the one major red flag here. But Dow Jones looking decent. Anything above 32,800 is just going to be for a daily higher low. So we'll see, can the bulls play defense and give us a daily uptrend? And at that point, can they set the weekly upswing in motion and get as close as possible to my 35,000 level here to start recapturing some of this move? If we, for some reason, just continue to weekly downtrend into this area here, I'll remind you, the key level of support is 33 down to 32,500-ish. This represents your monthly support for pretty much the entire part of the last year at this point. So I'm expecting bulls to play a good amount of defense in this area here if they can't get the job done. But we'll see, can they get the daily higher low and daily higher highs just the same as the rest of the indexes? That's what we're waiting for, guys. Waiting for this on everything except for QQQ. So it's going to be big. All right. So now let's take a look at our major tech names. Yeah. So Apple still green on the day, guys. 0.51% to the upside. Apple's upswing is still not finished. Now Apple has created so much space, guys, that they can get the daily trend change. In my opinion, it's going to be very tough for the bears to just smash this over in one clean shot here. Apple doing a very good job. Anything above 168 is just going to be for your daily higher low for the daily trend change attempt. Your weekly bounce is very, very beautiful as well, guys. Now on the weekly bounce, we've taken back pretty much, over 62% of the move at this point. Very, very, very bullish. Going to be tough for the bears at this point, guys, to just smash and roll this over with a very nasty sequence of daily downtrend reversal here. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, Apple only with earnings at the beginning of November, so still about 2-3 weeks away on that one. But I am expecting Apple bulls to really step in here. The moving averages down here, 176. My whole sweet spot area that's been acting as support this entire time will also be a big factor in this. So Apple taking this one day at a time, but looking healthy, guys. If we do pull back in here, I will be once again looking to write options, 175 down to 170 zone. AMD also not looking too bad, guys. Retracing a bit on the day. So AMD, this little daily leg up here may just be topping out. That's okay. Daily uptrend is confirmed on AMD. Anything above 99 is just going to be looking for your daily higher low for further uptrend continuation. Bulls in control of the daily uptrend now, right? You have a very nice support level down here, right around 105. And you also have the moving averages down here as well. So expect a little bit of a reaction if we do pull back into this area here. That would be the main area that I'm targeting here for a reversal here, pulling nicely into the 111, getting rejected. But you can see on the weekly now, if we close the week up at these levels tomorrow, guys, the weekly bulls will have now engulfed this entire move, guys, and they're setting themselves up nicely for the weekly trend change that may take a few more weeks here. Keep in mind, AMD does have earnings later this month on the 30th, so pretty much 2.5 weeks away. So we'll see what happens with that. I am expecting good things from them, but looking very clean are the bulls here. No red flags in my opinion. Daily bulls are in control and setting themselves up nicely for a potential weekly reversal as well here. And we've always been looking for the monthly higher lows as well, right? So looking forward to continuation to the upside on AMD. May just take a little bit more time than anticipated. Amazon with a very nice day as well, 0.38% to the upside, but giving a little bit of it back here in the end of the day. But Amazon has set the daily uptrend, creating a lot of space in the past 5 days, guys. Anything above 124 just going to be looking for your daily higher low, similar to AMD. They have got the daily uptrend in motion, right? And now on the weekly, they have recaptured a fair amount of this move. Put it on the fib, you will see that they've recaptured about 50% of this move at the high of today's trading. So decent little upswing here by the bulls here. Now I just need to see them continue this daily uptrend to the upside. Support levels down here right around your 128. And you do have moving averages that you're above now, so expect some support there by the bulls. They have now almost filled this little gap. That's exactly what I wanted them to do. Pull up in the 135 area before potentially setting the daily higher low. Very nice little setup here by the bulls. Not yet truly convinced if they do pull up into the 136, 137, it's going to look a lot better for your potentially weekly uptrend continuation here. But as of now, not looking so bad on Amazon. I do think that Amazon should perform pretty well in their earnings as well in the next 2 weeks here. So we are definitely going to keep an eye on that. And if for any which reason, guys, we do roll over, well, my sweet spot is down there. You guys have seen I've written options on the past 2-3 weeks on Amazon in this whole little pocket, 124 down to 120. So looking forward, if they do drop, to be doing that again. Now let's move into Google. Google here, finally Google with a red day here after so much rally here. We did get a little bit of a red day on Google, right? 1% to the downside, but doesn't really show as we did gap up on the morning and then just gave it back, right? So not all that bad on Google, if I do say so myself. Any pullback here, right? If we flush today's low tomorrow, that will be your daily consolidation underway. And Google has created so much space, guys. Pretty much anything above 128.50 is just going to be for your daily higher low for bull continuation here, guys. You have a beautiful little area here, right? This whole area will be acting as future support for the bulls now that we've gone through it, right? So you're talking about 138 down to the 135, and you do have confluence with your moving averages. So if you do pull back into here, guys, expect the bulls to buy the dip in this area and provide some level of support as well. And on the weekly, you guys already know Google is looking very, very bullish on the weekly. Weekly uptrend is confirmed here, right? And we are targeting our next area of resistance, which will be this area right here, the whole 145 all the way up to 150 all-time high area. So Google, no red flags, one of our lead bulls so far with Meta, looking very, very nice. If we do pull back in the markets, just look for this little pocket here. The bulls are very comfortable, guys. We can even come down to 135, 134, and they'd still have a beautiful chance here of continuing the daily uptrend. Now let's move on to Meta. Meta, also one of our lead bulls, now pulling back today 1.12%, but that's okay. Meta has created a lot of space here that they can work with at this point, guys, right? So Meta bulls here, lots and lots of space, guys. Anything above 299, right, is just going to be your daily higher low. So if we do pull back, keep in mind on Meta, you do have a nice little support area right here at the whole 310, 311 area. That's going to be your first line of defense for the bulls. Moving averages as confluence in this area as well, looking very, very decent. So if we do pull back, guys, expect the daily higher low for further upside continuation. Meta actually hitting a new 52-week high today, looking very good on the weekly, guys. Look at this weekly uptrend. Massive move by the bulls, guys. So even if we do pull back on the daily has space, and even the weekly has tons of space if we were to pull back in the next 2 weeks here, potentially to set a weekly higher low, continue this weekly uptrend to the upside. Meta with earnings here also Wednesday, 25th of October. So pretty much in 2 weeks, going to be looking forward to seeing that. I do believe that Meta should have a pretty good quarter. It's been a decent quarter for advertisers as a whole. So we'll keep an eye on that for Meta. Very, very good job by the bulls. Meta and Google are two obvious lead bulls at this point. All right. Now, Microsoft. Microsoft also having a negative day here, 0.38% to the downside. But what we were expecting when this move tops out, look once again for the daily higher low. So all of these look the same, guys. You're looking for daily higher lows, whether it's SPY, XLF, XLV, a lot of the indexes, Dow Jones, and a few tech names here, unless it's, pretty much. Actually, no, all of them, right? We're all looking for the daily higher lows on pullbacks. I was thinking AMD, but AMD, Meta, and Google, your stronger names here. Even Apple, when Apple's move up tops out, looking for the daily higher lows. So the bulls are in control of your daily charts now across all major tech. So when Microsoft pulls back here, anything above 311 will just be for a daily higher low attempt. You have a beautiful area of support down here, 322, 323 area, and your confluence with the moving averages. So expect the bulls to put up somewhat of a fight down here if we do come down here for further continuation of the upside. And on the weekly, Microsoft bulls have done a great job so far, guys, right? Capturing almost 80% of this most recent down leg from the bears here. So very, very good move to the upside by the bulls. we're looking for the potential weekly trend change. If they can't V-shape this, may have to do it in 2 shots, but the bulls are looking good. Very, very good, if I do say so myself. Daily's looking good. Weekly's looking good in terms of the size of the bounce. So we'll let the bulls do their job. Microsoft with earnings here on that last week of October is going to be big. Tuesday, 24th of October is going to be your earnings for Microsoft. Now, NVIDIA up again today, 0.3%, right? So putting in even more space, guys. Once again, when this move tops out, looking for the daily higher lows, guys. Good area of confluence here, 450. This whole squiggly line that I just drew, let's make it straight. So this whole 450 area will be previous resistance, now going to be acting as support, and you have confluence for your moving averages as well. So daily uptrend is well in motion at this point. Whenever this move tops out, look for your daily higher low for daily uptrend continuation. Weekly looking very good on NVIDIA as well, if I might add to that myself, right? So NVIDIA now taking back, 70, let's call it 70, 75% of the whole bear move down. So bulls have created a bunch of space on the weekly as well to, if they can't V-shape this and continue up, they may have to just 2-step this as well. NVIDIA earnings are pretty far away here, guys. They're on the 20th of November, so don't expect anything from that. But bulls position very, very well. NVIDIA obviously a bit too rich for me at this point, but bulls in control of the daily, and I do like the size of the weekly bounce here. So NVIDIA, no red flags whatsoever. Now let's move down to Tesla. Tesla here with a very, very, negative day, but in the overall market, we were just expecting a daily pullback here. So your daily consolidation is underway. We've now hit 2 lower lows on 2 consecutive days here. So your daily consolidation is underway here at this point, guys. Anything at this point, in my opinion, right? Anything above 251, which is your last leg of this little daily uptrend here. Anything above 251 here is just going to be for your daily higher low. So bulls still working with a little bit of space here. Earnings next Wednesday. So going to be tough to give some price predictions on the technicals because earnings will throw this either way. I will repeat, Tesla did miss deliveries, so the revenue may come below expectations, of course, because the expectations for deliveries were higher. They missed on delivery expectations. So the key things for Tesla will be EPS, earnings per share, and profit margins. You want to see net margins being okay and not reducing too much, guys. So we'll see, can they maintain margins? Can they maintain EPS? Will they beat on margins and EPS? That would give them a nice little bump, in my opinion. Any negative report on either of those, and the stock will, in my opinion, retrace quite considerably. If it does retrace considerably, guys, you have to target your weekly levels, right? Weekly tightening range potentially in motion here. Target your 235 level. That would be your weekly support. Crack 235 on earnings. And we are unfortunately back into a weekly downtrend here, guys. But at that point, it would just still be monthly consolidation. Tesla's still looking for your monthly higher lows here to potentially put in a rally into Q4 here, which is usually their best quarter. Working with a lot of space here, guys. So I'm not too nervous for Tesla. It's been a very, very nice run up from the low, pretty much 230s here, but all is going to rely on earnings here. At least they've created a bunch of space in relation to the lows here. But keep in mind, Tesla, the last couple quarters on earnings, guys, they have dropped, right? So just keep that in mind. If the earnings are anything under perfect, or if Elon says something bad on the call, expect this stock to tumble a little bit. But Tesla, very healthy positioning, in my opinion, for the long term. Now let's move on to Palantir. Palantir struggling to make new highs, but also not pushing to lows too much, right? So we're kind of just consolidating here at the tops here, guys. As I said, whenever this move tops out here, looking for your daily higher low. You have a good level here of confluence, 1680. This line right here lines up with your 12 EMA. So if the bulls do give a little bit up back here, I would expect there to be a reaction in this whole zone, right? 17 down to about 1670 is going to be a reaction level for the bulls here, but pushing very, very nicely. Weekly uptrend as well. Weekly's created a ton of space. So even if we do roll over here into a daily downtrend, the bulls have created a lot of space for your weekly higher lows here, right? And this whole area now, $16. It's going to be massive support on the weekly, previous resistance for like 5-6 weeks in a row. So expect something like this, guys. Palantir with earnings as well, guys. Very, very, very shortly here. Well, not shortly, about in 3 weeks, early November here. And they're getting ready, guys. If this quarter comes in line, it'll be 3 quarters in a row of positive EPS, positive net income. considerable for S&P inclusion. That's why you may have a few institutions here. This entire run up here has pretty much been institutional positioning in the event that they have to add to the S&P 500. Obviously, if a company gets added to the S&P 500, guys, then every single index, every single benchmark has to add them to their portfolio, and it creates a lot of buying pressure for this stock at a short term here. So that's what some traders are trying to get ahead of and speculate whether which quarter that is actually going to be in. But Palantir looking very decent here. No real red flags on the short term. And now lastly, PayPal. PayPal, terrible day, guys. Terrible day on PayPal, down almost 3% here, coming down near your lows, once again trading in the $56 range. So pretty sad day for me, as you guys know that I'm a big proponent in PayPal. Just can't get it done here, guys. My view on PayPal is that they're still a solid company, guys. They're one of the largest payment processors in the world. They have tremendous volume, right? However, their stock price has just been underappreciated and undervalued by Wall Street at this point, in my opinion. Price to earnings ratio is very, very low at this point, 16 currently, but for the next year, it is around 11, 10 even at this point, right, guys? And they have good guidance for the next foreseeable future. So I'm not too nervous about this position, but it's just the stock has not been moving in our direction for a considerable amount of time at this point. So you can see our daily range is still in motion here, guys. Cracked 56, and you will unfortunately be heading to a new weekly low. Your weekly downtrend at this point is just continuing. No sign from the bulls. What I need to see from the bulls, I'll repeat, is a break of $60. If we can get a break of this little range here towards $60, they'll create enough space to set up for a daily uptrend here. PayPal earnings here 1st of November, so still a while away. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. Keep an eye. If they do come down here into the 55 all the way down to $50 range, I'm definitely going to be adding some shares of PayPal, guys. They're really getting into an area of deep value here, and there's been absolutely nothing in their past 3 earnings reports, guys, that I have not liked. It's always been very good numbers and very good guidance, so I don't expect that to change. They are changing their CEO as well, so we will see what happens with that. But PayPal, unfortunately, not having the best day and still stuck in this disgusting range for the past pretty much 3 weeks at this point. So that's pretty much it. All that I had for you guys on the video today. Tomorrow we'll do the portfolio recap, as I'll be closing out my options positions for the week. Today, portfolio dropped a little bit because PayPal came down, CSIQ came down a lot. My CSIQ came down almost 4% on the day as they tried to set the daily higher low, potentially for a daily uptrend reversal, but the bears in full control. They could just smash this to the downside. At this point, we're hoping for the daily uptrend reversal. Haven't had a daily uptrend, guys, since way back here, right? It's just been full bear control. So PayPal dropping a lot. My bank's dropping a lot because yields absolutely skyrocketed today. PayPal dropping a lot, right? So unfortunately, portfolio didn't have a good day. But all the options positions that I wrote for this week, guys, are looking to all expire worthless. So we'll pocket, once again, pocket a bunch of premium this week and reset for next week, starting off for the earnings. If a few of the banks drop tomorrow with their earnings, keep in mind, I will be looking to play a few banks or maybe even XLF as a whole index if we do get a drop on banks tomorrow. So we'll see what happens, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's pretty much it, all I had for you. If you did enjoy it, consider liking. I would really appreciate it. I love all your guys' support and engagement so far. It's made everything worthwhile. And consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. We'd love to have you here. Of course, I do these videos every single day pretty much after the market closes. And as usual, if you have any questions, guys, on any stocks, macro options, feel free to ask me in the comments and I'll usually get back to you within the next few hours or in the next day. So thank you all for watching. Once again, I'll see you guys after the close tomorrow for our weekly recap. Happy trading on Friday, guys. Bye-bye.